Hello everyone, Justin here, American Mustang School, and I've been wanting to make a video kind of like this for a while, and it's called How to Train a Wild Mustang Horse. Now you got to understand, Harley is a once wild Mustang horse, and he's he's going to be a participant in making this video today. So I brought Harley home from Canyon City, Colorado back in 2012, 13, somewhere in there. And as you can see, he's already synchronized and linked up with me. He's a BLM Mustang, and he's out of Wyoming. What I want to show you today, he's like, what did we just do that for? What I want to show you today is there's 100 ways to do this. But I want to show you probably the most streamlined way that I used to train once wild Mustang horses. We'll talk about equipment real quick. So a round pen, a trailer. So I used to have a bigger stock trailer than this little trailer here, but for video purposes this will work. What I would do is I would go pick up a horse, and they're untouched. So basically open my stock trailer and they push them in, and then I shut the trailer and I would take them to Walmart on the way back up to where I lived and let them just soak for a minute in the trailer before we do that 45-minute drive. So a lot of things are happening. You know, this is a sacred art. I teach sacred art of horsemanship, which is the set apart practice of self-study through the practice of horsemanship. So going back to picking up a wild horse, take them to Walmart, let them smell smells, let them see sights. They're in a safe environment, big stock trailer that can move around, hear the buggies going by, the traffic and all that. And I'd go in and get some supplies, come out, and then I'd take them on up to the house. And when I got up to the ranch, I would back my stock trailer up to a round pen, as you see here. And I'm actually going to accomplish two things at once. See, the horses, they're not used to trailers. So I back the trailer up to the round pen. They're going to be with that trailer for 30 days, a couple weeks anyway. Depends on the horse. So there's 100 ways to do this, and they're all different. All the horses are different. So what I would do is let them out of the trailer into the round pen, and then I'm going to just put my hands in my pockets. I'm going to be with them. So he's over here. I'm going to have to push him a little bit. Come on, buddy. Oh, I shouldn't be kissing in that microphone. Keep going. Get out here so they can see you. Come on, get out here so they can see you. Good boy. Come on, Harley. Come on. I'll just lead you where I need you. So what I would do is I'd put my hands in my pockets, right? And then I would move the horse at liberty. So in other words, we're not connected with a rope. We're not connected with anything. Now, some horses, I might put a rope on their neck and do things. But for the simple first time to get a Mustang, you got a round pen, you got a trailer, and you got yourself. Let's just start there. Now you can position your body to this horse to move him in different directions. And that's all you need to do. You're wanting to see how comfortable he is with you on your left side. How comfortable is he with you on the right side? And then, you know, if the distance that is indicative of how comfortable he is. So there's a formula. And you've got to study yourself first. You know, you've got to ask yourself why. Why are you doing it? What is the purpose? You got to have a flexible plan, and then you got to take action. Hold on, Harley, stay right here. So it's kind of one of those things where if you don't know your why, it's not the end of the world. You can find your why. My why with these wild horses was to ask them to help me with a mission, which is to help other people. Harley went through a trail ride business we had in Colorado, and he carried lots and lots of people. We did a camp for children with cancer. He carried lots of children. Now we do a life coaching school for the military, and he carried a lot of people. So it's to ask him to help me help others. That was my whole mission. So I needed to create a horse, a character in a horse that was willing to serve just as I serve. He's not better than me. I'm not better than him. We're equal in this. I'm going to ask him questions and get the answers that I need from him to help him and myself ascend in a conscious awareness of how we can become better horse, better human. So it's a self-study, it's self-discovery, self-mastery. You know, these horses, they abide in the laws of nature. So a Mustang horse, you know, born in the wild, he's taught to think to survive, analyze everything, life and death. You know, they don't make too many mistakes because it's survival. And that's the strongest law in nature, is self-preservation. So he's going to learn to think and do to become successful at survival. So, you know, he's getting out of the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around and move the horse with my body. And here's some other things that you can use to help you with that. So I'd love to stay in the frame, but really going to try to create this. So you can't really touch your horse the first day. And I shouldn't say that because I've done it many times, but you know, it's really tough to make a wild horse video because there's 100 different ways to do it, because all horses are individuals. You know, Cinnamon, she got out of the trailer and no big deal. Walked right up to me, sniffed me, I pet her, and away we went. Harley was a little different. He was scared. So I had to give him some time, and then got him to understand, hey, humans aren't so bad. In which case I decreased this round pen in half, and then I put myself in there with him and moved him around in there so he couldn't gain speed. You know, he would move pretty quick, but I would release that pressure. And it was one of those things where you can gauge what they're thinking based on their body. So I'm going to push him around. Come on, Harley. Go ahead. Go ahead. Come on. So see this pole? You might not be able to get to your horse. I just want to show you this and then we can move on. You might not be able to get to your horse, but you could touch him with a pole. Yeah, see, good, good. Give him something to see, Harley. Come on, keep going. So I like if this was a wild horse and I can't get my body close to him, I can reach out and touch him with the pole. And then I can, when he stops, of course he's not in frame, you can draw back and draw him to you. And then you can go again. All this is an extension of my arm, so if I was just to touch my horse with my hand, and then he turns to me and stops, I release the pressure of my hand and like, good job. And then I go back and ask him again. So he's given a good little display, so we'll play with this a little bit more. So go ahead, Harley. I'll just point the direction I'd like him to go, give a little kiss. Good boy. And then he'll move in the direction that I asked him to go. And if he was really, really wild, I would just keep my hands in my pockets. Keep going, buddy, so they can see you. And then I would just follow him a little bit. And then whenever he would get going too fast, back off pressure. If he gets going too slow, put on more pressure. So I'll ask him to go the other direction. I don't know if you can see him. Good job. And we'll go this direction. Good job. Keep going, buddy. And then after we play with this for a while, I can long pole touch him. You know, I can come in, like get him to stop, right? Here, let's just put some pressure here. Stop right here so they can see you. Ah, he's not stopping. Good job. So I just want to touch him. He's like, don't touch me. Keep going, buddy. Well, I'll just touch him. Good job. We're probably not in the frame. All right. So it's pressure, touch him, release, thank you. Pressure, touch him, release, thank you. And then we'll wash, rinse, repeat that to where he realizes, oh, a human can touch me. So he's not going to stay in the frame for me so you guys can see. So I'm going to probably put a lead rope and halter on him pretty quick. That leads us to the equipment. You know, a wild horse, here, come here, Harley, so they can see you. Come here, buddy, come here, come to me, come here. Good job. It's a horse video, you got to be a horse in the video. Okay, so wild horse just means uninterrupted by man, the wild part. They're gentle. So I didn't have to gentle him. He's already gentle. Out there in the wild, he's gentle. But bringing him into the human element, he will display undesirable behavior, which he's scared of me. I got to create draw so he's not. I got to let him know, hey, nothing to fear in the human element. So like his mind is shapeable and moldable. So when I ask you why you're doing this, what do you want? That's the question that should come in. Like, what kind of character do you want in your horse? Do you want a calm, quiet, thinking horse, responding to questions quietly? Or do you want an erratic, chaotic? So they're going to reflect that in their body, what they're thinking. So if I present that to them, that's what they're going to give feedback to. So self-study. Are we thinking wild, chaotic, crazy, whatever? Are we presenting that? So I just kind of wing this video, so apologize if it's not in the frame and whatnot. What we'll do is, Harley's been there, done that. So this is a pretty cool thing. Whenever you get a horse to want to be with you, we'll just fast forward from coming out of the trailer. We ask him to move. We got to touch him with the long pole. We draw him to us, get him wanting to come to us. You've decreased the distance from you and the horse to where you can touch him with your own hand. So we still haven't got a halter on him. That's okay. We can ask him questions without ropes and whips and long poles. We can literally create a relationship based on just myself and the horse. There's like I said, man, there's hundreds of ways to do this, and I've done it hundreds of different ways, but just kind of wanted to give you an overview. Whenever you get a horse changing his mind, wanting to be with you, you move away and he comes with you. Come on. That's telling you what he's thinking. It's one of those things that you want to see. So being with the horse is just as valuable of doing with the horse. So like liberty stuff is where I always start. So when we get him out of the trailer, we're at liberty. I haven't got a halter on him yet. So literally, this is what I would be doing before I got a halter on him. I want to be petting him. I want to be going down his sides. I want to be, understanding, is he comfortable with me on both sides? If he's not, I moved too fast too soon, so I've got to slow down, go back to the front. He runs away, I just start asking questions again. So I created the 5-part series. Let me see if I can just do a 5-part series. And that's what I would start doing right out of the trailer. So in other words, I'll ask him to back up, see if he would do it. Our first meeting, of course, they're usually going to just go away from me. But hey, pay attention. See my hand? I'll ask him to back up. He's done this hundreds of times. Back up, and relax. Good boy. And then we'll ask him to go into a direction. So he's already facing that way, but I'd like him to go the opposite way. So we'll just point and drive a little bit, a little pressure, and get him moving. Go ahead, Harley. Keep going. And then we'll put pressure where it's needed to keep him moving. Now, if we want to change directions, go ahead. Want to change directions? We'll point the opposite direction and drive, ask him to go the other way. And I would do this before I ever got a halter on him anyway. And then whenever I push that hip, I'm going to back away and draw him to me and then rub him to a stop. And then once we got the horses playing like this, man, introducing a lead rope and halter is a lot easier, because don't get me wrong, this could take days. Good idea to take a breath and relax. This could take days to get to this point, obviously. I've done it in 2 or 3 days, but some horse 14 days. Just depends. There's hundreds of ways that you gotta navigate creating what it is you want. So you're the creator. He's ready, willing, and available. You want a nice, quiet, calm, thinking horse? Create it. You want an erratic, chaotic horse? Create it. Self-study. What are you presenting to the horse? What is he feeding back? What changes do you need to make to present again? If you don't know your why, sometimes you find your why. The other thing is, sometimes if you're just not sure, it's almost like this. If you find yourself in a situation with a horse and you're you've got an open mind. Got to have an open mind. You're observing the feedback. Sometimes the preconceived notions of what you had for the horse change. The perception that you thought you were presenting and how your horse perceives you isn't the same. So you've got to learn how to hand your will, what you're willing for the horse, over to the horse. And then he'll help you learn how to control your will. It's a beautiful dance. It's one of those things that becomes clear when you get on the path. The horses will help you define the path. They'll help you see the path. You know, you're balancing your knowledge and your being with a horse. You're going to just have to keep moving until you understand what that is. They will help us see it. And it's a really beautiful thing. So we've got a horse that come off the trailer, and day one, put hands in our pockets and we move around with the horse. He's probably going to move away from you, and the faster you move, the faster he'll move. You know, day one is what I'll start looking at as this individual. What do I need to study in myself, change in myself, present to the horse to get the desired results? So we have an interactive system from day one to get desirable results. I'm going to use my body to apply pressures, you know, distances on the body parts of this horse, his head, his neck, his shoulders, his ribs, his hindquarter, and I'm going to see what happens when I do that. So if I put pressure and say it's too much and he runs off, he just blows out. Okay, well, don't put so much pressure. It's pretty easy. How do we dial that in? Well, it depends on the individual. So that's where you play, and it's discovered. So Harley's a really cool little Mustang, and he wasn't a very, you know, erratic and chaotic in behavior. He was a thinker. So yeah, I wanted a thinker. I would rather have a horse that stops and thinks than reacts chaotically and doesn't think. If I'm going to put children on his back, or if I'm going to put, you know, tourists, as we used to call them, on his back, I want to know that they're going to be safe. So I have to present that to him so that he can tell me what he needs. And I have to present, when I say present that to him, I have to present what I expect from him. If I will stop and think and then ask him a question, he'll pick up on that and he'll stop and think and respond. It's a pretty cool thing. I don't have a cameraman to move the camera around to follow us, but so these pressures, if I put a pressure on his hip, something's got his attention, so I need to ask him, move this hip. Good job. Create some draw. Good job. And rub him to a stop. We wash, rinse, repeat that to where he totally understands, like, oh, this guy, human, he moves me around. He puts pressure on certain spots and then releases it certain spots. And I haven't even touched him yet. This is what we're doing day one. And just a realistic expectation. Say you're going to do that for 30 days and you won't even get a hand on the horse, but you get a long pole on him. Or maybe you get to touch him between the eyes one time. That's okay. You're moving at the speed that you're capable of moving to get the most efficient and effective results in that interactive system for desirable results. Man, this is a tough video to make, guys, because, man, there are so many things that I could show you and tell you. But I want to keep this basic and simple and have a realistic expectation. You know, your horse comes off the trailer. Get in the round pen with them, move with them, ask them to come to you, observe, and then continue to do that until you get desired results. There is an art to it. It isn't going to happen overnight. You know, it's one of those things where through experience, you will get the understanding. And so what I want to show you now, like I'll show you how I would get a halter on a wild horse. And so I have a lead rope and halter here. Let's go out here, Harley, so they can see. So I generally come to the center. I always call my Mustangs to me to the center. And maybe I have this on the ground and we've already played, and maybe I leave and let him sniff it out. If he's curious, that's even better. So if I can get him to be like, huh, what is that? Great. He sniffs it. Great. It speeds it up for me. Getting back to that trailer, I'm going to leave that trailer in here for a while. And sometimes I'll hang this in the trailer while I'm with them. I don't want them get, playing with it and get hung in or anything. But create curiosity in this, because other horses' smells are on it. So he may be curious about that. And you can kind of already set the stage for when you're ready to show it to him. So lead rope and halter. I like a 12-foot lead, 1/4-inch rope halter. And I'll offer it to him. So like I'll ask him all the questions. Back up, go to the left, go to the right, come to me. We got some deer. Come to me. And when he comes in, I'll let him sniff it. Obviously he's had a halter before, so here, so sniff it. Good job. And then I'll pull it away. And to slow this down, I don't have an expectation to get a halter on him the very first day I show it to him. Just so you know, just so we're clear, I'm coming in to this round pen and I'm creating something that's going to last a lifetime. So it is not important for me to get a halter on a horse the very first day I show it to him. If it happens, great. But it may be turned into, this is just a petting device. He smells it and then I rub him and he's like, why are you rubbing me with that? And then I just rub all over his body with it, and then that's it. That's all we did that day, or that session that morning. Maybe there's an evening session, and I do it again. And then I'll start like playing with the rope and showing him like, hey, it moves around, it wiggles. Maybe I'll just touch him with the rope, and then come away, draw him to me, do it again. I skipped a bunch of steps because it's a little difficult to think of everything, but I wanted to grab a short whip. I call it an arm extension. When you get them to coming to you, you can actually touch them with the whip. That's an arm extension. You could touch their legs, front and back legs. You're going to expose them to pressures and release. Whenever they come in and they want to relax, that's when you want to start touching them. You want to work your way down from the head, the neck, the shoulders, the body, the hind quarter, the tail, and then you got them comfortable enough to want to stand there. You can ask them to move when you need them to. Obviously, he's allowed to go. He's not tied to anything, and you'll get a real feedback of that individual. It's like, yeah, he's pretty chill. So I'll maybe ask him to halter him. I'll put this around his neck and play with it, and then take it away. No big deal. I don't want to try to fast forward too fast, too soon, but, and then I'll put it on his nose and then take it away. And then, that may be it. And then we come back in and we do another series of questions that create draw. I rub him to a stop. I start petting all over him. I brush his hair. I haven't even, done that. Maybe I should, just so you can see, like, it's not a big hurry to get ropes on them and start yanking on them and pulling on them. I never want to do that. I don't want to teach this horse to pull on me, so I don't want to pull on him. So if I already have him standing here and letting me brush his hair, I got to brush his mane, you're actually being with the horse. You're doing something, but he's free to go. If he wants to stand here, he will. If he doesn't, he goes. If he goes, I ask him questions, just in that 5-part series of 5 questions to get a deeper understanding of him. Those 5 questions are to back up, to go to the left, to go to the right, to come forward. We don't have a rope to ground tie, but rub him to a stop. Relax, breathe together. You're merging your movement and your breath together. Starts day one. We haven't done this in a while. That's good. But this right here is what we did in the first few days. I was riding him on the 5th day, but I didn't spend a long time brushing him that, all 5 days. We were going through series of questions. We were asking, backwards, left, right, forward. Didn't have a rope. And then I'd brush his mane and I'd ask him again. And then I would lead him, like I would turn and walk and ask him to come with me. Lead him around the round pen. Just get him to follow me, and I would lead him, and then I would stop, and I'd ask him to move, and then I would draw and just wash, rinse, repeat that to where he was totally comfortable with me, and I could realize, like, okay, day 3, let's start getting a pad on your back. Let's start getting, get a rope on your face. Let's get a pad on your back. Let's get a saddle on you. Let's just see. And it just goes a lot faster when they're in that non-restricted mind, an open mind. You've got to have an open mind, present an open mind. You've got to have conscious awareness of your thoughts and emotions. If your emotion is telling you something, your mind needs to pay attention to it. Your thoughts, like you don't feel like this is a good idea. Think about that. Don't do it. If you think it's a good idea, it's important to pay attention to what you're feeling based on the feedback from your horse. That's an inner pathway of communication, thought and emotion. So if I can see reflections in this horse's body, that's going to tell me what he's thinking in his mind. So mind and body, what he's thinking, what he's feeling. If he's short and shallow breathing, tense muscles, nostrils flaring, eyes wide, head high, he's telling me what he's thinking. Well, I've got to make a change. If I'm developing awareness with the horse, of the horse, I've got to make a change. So it may take more brushing the horse, may take more asking him at liberty, asking him questions. I'll get the horse so comfortable before I put a pad or a lead rope and halter on them that whenever I do put a rope on them, they're almost like, well, that don't mean anything. So in other words, they don't fear the rope, they don't fear the pad, they don't fear the saddle. They've never had any reason to, because I'm paying attention to that mind. Restrictions in the mind are doubt, confusion, fear, and then what that does to a horse is get them a reflection in their body of stiff, short, shallow breathing. He took a deep breath, I'll take a deep breath. We start synchronizing. You want to synchronize with the horse. That's how you develop awareness of the horse, because then you're transferring information back and forth in what we call a feedback loop. So it's kind of one of those things where once I've got this horse thinking and doing, he'll become. So his character starts to form. If he's one of those that's labeled untrainable, in which case he actually was, I've got to realize that's just a label that he was given before he got to me. I'm going to change that. I'm going to present to him what I expect from him, which he would be trainable, because I'm trainable. He can do things to help me change. I can do things to help him change. Now, here's where I got to tell you something. I make these videos, and I'm no good at making videos. That's why none of them are edited. There's something you got to understand about training horses as you go through your life relationship with your horse. If you've ever seen a stock chart, like a stock market chart on a company, it starts in a place and then it starts trending, either up or down. But you'll notice, like say in a day, it'll have a bunch of little tiny movements in that day. And at the end of the day, it either trended up or it trended down. Then you go a week, you go a month, you go 3 months, you go a year, you go 5 years. There's going to be millions of little decisions made in the day, in the week, in the month. But from the start to the time that you're at in the present, you're going to see a trend. It's either going to be trending up, it's going to be trending lateral, it's going to be trending down. That's what you got to pay attention to in your horsemanship. So I can make a video today with Harley. You're only going to see a fractal of the relationship. You're not even really going to get a deep understanding unless you were here experiencing it for yourself. The point I'm trying to make is it's tough to make a video and explain how to train a wild horse. It's tough to teach people how to do it, because it's got to be experienced. Yeah, you can have a sense of it. I can give you a sense of what it is to train these guys, develop a relationship, create a willing partner to help you accomplish missions. But to get the depth or get the understanding, you've got to experience it. So I'll keep going, keep trying. I'm not really expecting much. other than just to play with my horse and make a video for myself to become better. So we've got him to where he's okay with the rope on his face. We're going to go ahead and tie it. You know, and I'll do this. I'll just have a halter on and a halter off session for a few days with my horse. Obviously, he's ground tied to the ground, but in the first day, he's not going to know that. He's not even going to know what that means. So I may pick up a rope and, you know, ask him a question with the rope, but we've already done it with our hands. So I'm just going to wiggle the rope, and then he already sees what that is, and then he'll increase the intensity of the wiggle and then relax when he does. I'm going to move out here just because I don't even know if you could see his hooves when we're doing that. But it's like we've backed him out of, or got him out of the trailer. We've done body pressure to ask him to move different directions. Release pressure with my body. It'll go away, draw him to me. Get him to start wanting to come to you. Can't touch him. Some of them are like, nope, not going to let you touch me. Utilize a long pole. Kind of showed you that a little bit, but you can rub that long pole all over him. Decrease the size of your pin if you have to. If he's just like too fast, too soon, running away, let's decrease the size of the pin and not put so much pressure. Sometimes chasing them around, you're actually chasing them around. But in a small pin, we could just ask him a few questions here, a few questions there, get a quicker, more precise read, and then make adjustments and then increase the size of the pin and do more. But I don't want my horses running away not thinking. I would rather them start thinking, because I'd rather go through the mind to get to the hooves rather than the hooves to get to the mind. Now, some horses, they just require going through the hoof to get to the mind. And that's okay. That individual needed that. And I could probably make a different video for that. But the way that most of my horses went, or came to me, I went through their mind and got to the hoof. I didn't get them all sweaty, running, none of that stuff. Harley, like I say, we were riding him on the 5th day. He didn't even crow hop. He didn't even do anything remotely violent or undesirable. And that's the way I kept him every day, kept him going. So creating a wild Mustang training video, mine would be boring. And a lot of the old ones in the Facebook, they're boring, because I just, I didn't have a bucking bronco or, wild event. It was just a slow and steady, smooth and easy. Now, some of the horses that I acquired from other people, they came traumatized. There was some issues, and those would have made great videos. But I wasn't into making videos back then so much. I was into creating a relationship with a horse to help me with a mission, and that was priority one. And so, getting into asking him questions with the rope, we start with a backup, but we've already utilized our hands, so the rope is just there as needed. Help solidify the question. So if I want to go in a direction, I just want to point. We've been pointing anyways at Liberty, and then I can just raise this hand and give him a kiss if needed. And we go in this direction. Keep going, Harley, so they can see. And we just ask him, just like if we were at Liberty, not depending on the rope unless it's absolutely needed. In other words, he runs the arc out of the rope. I could let him bump into it, make him think he ran into it, and it was his idea to come back off of the rope. Because we gotta utilize ropes whenever we're communicating with our horses, especially if we're gonna go out in town, or, we just rode to town, and I had to use a lead rope to tie my horse to the bike rack so he wouldn't leave, and I could go in and get an iced tea. So ropes are important, but we depend on them less and less to communicate with our horse as time goes on, because we didn't start with a rope. So I'll push that hip, create some draw, ground tie, rub them to a stop. Then we could go into a brushing exercise. And then it's just create this relationship. Nice deep breath. He took a deep breath. Create this relationship that you want. You're the creator. If I want a calm, quiet thinking horse, We've got to calm, quiet, think. If I want a horse that's comfortable in the mind and the body, I've got to be comfortable mind and body. Present, observe feedback, make changes, continue to do that. Inner pathway of communication is thought and emotion. Outer is attitude, action. I say attitude because I can see his attitude in reflection of his body. I can know if he's wanting to do something or if he's not. If he's cold and shivering, if he's not going to, relax, that attitude changes. Same with me. If I'm not really 100% into doing what we're doing, my attitude isn't as efficient and effective as it could be. And then the action, obviously, is outer. You're developing a skill in doing this, skill of awareness, but you're also developing a skill of how to read nonverbal communication in a horse. And through doing it over and over, you develop an experience. And then your skill and experience, when they match the horse, these challenges that come up, they're easy to accomplish. Getting a halter on a horse is easy to accomplish because he's not scared of us. He kind of already knows what means what. I could move him. I could ask him to stay. I could create draw and go on a walk. The rope now is just something we've added in that has a place, but I don't want him to fear it. There's no reason for him to fear it. I'm going to just make sure we're in the frame, buddy. Ground tie right there, rub him to a stop. I teach level 1 through 5 in horsemanship. The first level is grooming for mindset. So when I brought the wild horse home, I started grooming my mindset before I ever even went and picked up the horse. But when I took him to Walmart, as I explained, I'm thinking for the horse. What if I was the horse in that trailer? I just got picked up, and I've got picked up by this human, and I'm like, okay, I already saw that he was tense. Tension in the mind, tension in the body. He was scared. Gets put in a trailer. I take him to Walmart, turn the truck off, I go in. He gets to kind of settle, like, all right, it's called a stop exercise. So we just stop everything, stop. He gets to process what happened. It's one of those things where when you can stop and recalibrate breathing, observe, understand that your heart will stabilize, your breathing stabilize, muscles relax, and then come back out, get in the truck, drive again, take him up to the house. Then I get backed up to the round pen. I open the doors, and then I just let him come out when he wants. I don't push him out. I'm going to go do other things, and then if he comes flying out, he comes flying out. He's not going anywhere. And he sniffs the ground, and his horse, his first time he walked out, shook real good, looked around, sniffed the ground, and then just pretty much stood there. He was nice and easy. He was scared because whenever I came in, he did want to get away from me. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, just give him a moment. Let him just process what's going on. That stop exercise, we're going to continue that forever. So it's just like today when we do this ground tie, that's a stop exercise for him to recalibrate, to relax. Take a deep breath. Relax. Release tension in the mind, tension in the body. And then we go again. So in that 5-part series that we created, I can get a deeper understanding of the horse. He gets a deeper understanding of me. I get a deeper understanding of myself. He gets a deeper understanding of himself. And then as I'm creating this feedback loop with my horse, I'll know when it's time to put a pad on him. I'll know when it's time to put a saddle. I'll know when it's time to get on his back, because he's going to give me indicators based on our experiences together. I follow rules. I'm never going to force this horse to submit with pain or fear. I'm going to ask him with pressures, increase the intensity of the pressure until you get the desired response. So if you're on a scale of 1 to 10 with your pressures, man, I apologize for this helicopter, you're going to hear it. Scale of 1 to 10 for your pressures, he loves to watch them fly by too. It's funny. Scale of 1 to 10 for your pressures. If you always start at a 1, you have a place to go. So if I want to move those hooves, I just want to start soft. There's a 1, increase to a 2, to a 3. No need to go any heavier. You got him to move. That's the same thing at liberty with my hands in my pockets. I'm going to apply pressure on a scale of 1 to 10 to get him to move. If I go in at a 5, go running at him, he's going to blow out of there and take off. But if I go in, just cruise in at like a 1, and then he moves, then I can ease off and go, yeah, that's what I was asking you, buddy. And then we build upon that. So he knows what my body means. It's not confusion. It doesn't cause anxiety. It creates what it is that I want from my horse, and the character of observing what I'm asking and then answer. And then I can make changes so that we can have a conversation together. I don't really have time to make, a 60-day video to show you how to train a wild horse. I don't know if anybody out there does. And you would only see fractals of it anyways, especially when the editing starts coming in. So the therapeutic value is probably the most important piece to the sacred art of horsemanship. And that therapeutic value is where you can discover the beauty this horse has, help them ascend in consciousness the same time they're helping you ascend in consciousness, conscious awareness of yourself. He gains a conscious awareness of himself. And let me explain that therapeutic value. This horse was just fine out there in the wild. He could live forever. He doesn't need me. Now, if I understand that, and I invite him into the human element correctly, the therapeutic value for him is that he's going to ascend in consciousness other than what he would have out there on his own. He's going to understand, we'll call it love. I care for him. He's going to understand that. When he's itchy, his belly itches and I give him scratches, that's a sign of I care. Especially in the summertime when it's flies and I can spray him down and the flies go away. He's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Or when he hears a heartbeat up here on his back from a child, and that heartbeat and his heartbeat synchronize, and then they move and breathe together in movement, and then he picks up on, oh wow, that child's heart was erratic and chaotic, in beating whenever we got together. But as he interacts with the child, he starts to realize, wow, there's stabilization in this child. Or adult, doesn't matter, we do both. And then he gets to be a part of something. He actually gets to contribute to something and have an awareness to that. And then he comes up willingly to help with the mission that I couldn't train him to do. He starts to tune in to vibrational frequencies. A person comes in thinking a certain way, feeling a certain way, action in a certain way. He can recognize, he gets experience with many people. So he can recognize very quickly, like, oh, I've helped somebody with this before, I can help them again. That's a conscious awareness in the horse. Like, he has an ability or a skill that he otherwise didn't have. So that's kind of one of the things I want to share with you in making these videos. Like, what's the point? Why? Sometimes we have to find our why, and that's okay. There's like 100 ways to do this. I have 8 different horses, and I could show you 8 different ways to do this. I could bring each horse and do what I just showed you here. They're gonna respond a little differently, and I'll have to make necessary changes for that individual, and that's what's important. So the philosophies, rules. Never force a horse to submit with pain or fear. We don't want to create restriction in the mind, tension in the body. Now, a horse may come to you and he already has that, but you can undo it. And like that stock market trend, they're going to be different today, different in a week, different in a month. But you want that trend, obviously, to go up, ascension. Different times, making different videos. People will say, oh, that horse is this, that horse is that. Yeah, that's okay. Every horse I have is way better than the day I got him. We'll just say that. And you'll start to realize that as you play with your own horses. There is a formula, and each one you have to tweak the formula. And it's one of those things where you can create this relationship and have value in the relationship with each individual horse. You peeing again? What are you doing? So let's do this, Harley. Let's starting to get dark. What should we do? Should we make another video, or should we just keep going? What do you guys want? Type in the comments. You want me to keep going? Let's say that we've got our horse, we're about the 2-week mark, and we can touch him all over his body. We can put a halter on and off. We can brush his hair, brush his tail. He wants to be with us. Nothing really gets him jazzed up. I want to introduce a pad and saddle. So what I'll always do, you know, like I said the other few minutes ago, I don't care if I get a saddle on a horse when I show it to him the first time. I don't care if I get a pad on the horse when I show it to him the first time. I'll set it out there in the middle, and then I'll sometimes take a halter and lead rope off and let them get curious. Go sniff it. You check it out. Or I'll ask them, let's do a 5-part series here for them. Harley, we'll go ahead and back up. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. Good enough. Let's just go to the right. Go ahead. No, go this way. Go to the right. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can do it. Do it. So we just do a series around the saddle. And then, you know, I'll spare a little bit of video time of doing a whole bunch of series, but I'll just push that hip, create draw. He's like, I don't want to. This is good. This is good. I'll create draw, come to me, and then I'll ground tie him and let him sniff it. Go ahead and sniff it. He's like, I don't care about that. It's funny. This is a saddle horse. He's like, I ain't sniffing that. Some of the ones that have never seen it are really inquisitive. Like, oh, let me see that. So I'll do a series and I'll ask them questions. I'll have this saddle between us. Draw them to me, they can sniff it. So and then it's like, all right, well, let's do it again, you know. And I'll spare video time. We're not going to back up and move left or right, but we'll just do a little turn here. I'll push that hip. I'll create draw. He's like, I'll create draw, create draw, create draw. Look. Create some draw. Come to me, come. There you go. One step forward. That's what I was wanting. And then create a curiosity, like sniff the saddle, sniff the pad. Harley's not, I'm not doing it. But that's okay. We different things for different horses. We can create the experiences that we want. You know, I don't want him to ever fear this. So I'm going to create an experience where he doesn't fear it. Obviously, he looks like he does fear it, but it's one of those things. I can let him sniff it, and then take it away. I can let him sniff it, and then take it away. And as we progress through this, he'll start to like, I don't care about that pad. It doesn't matter to me. And then I can bring it over here and touch him with it, and then take it away. And then I can do the other side. You know, when I come in on his left side, I want to equalize it with the right. Look at it. Yeah, that's good. So this is kind of what you'll see in a horse that's had never been a pad or a saddle on. It's good stuff, Harley. You're actually kind of showing them what I wanted to show them. So, you know, it's a approach, retreat. You know, show them, take it away. Show them, take it away. So we got a pad on him. And then I always take these little lightweight saddles, and I rig this thing up so that I could just put it on and off, put it on and off, put it on and off. Real easy. I'll let him sniff it if he wants to. He don't care about it. So what I'll do is, I don't want these to slap on his sides. So this little blue rope here is what I'll tie this stirrup with. And I've put this on lots and lots and lots of horses. So see, it'll hold that stirrup for you. You got a little rope there. And then I'll just come in, I'll touch him with my left shoulder, and I might swing this up on his back and just let it sit there. You know, see, he's ground tied. He could run away. If this was a, you know, say we're at the 2-week mark and we're just introducing a saddle and a little bit of weight, I would just put this up here, kind of wiggle it. you know, I'll always keep a hand on it, because if he does go away, I can just kind of gently bring it off as he left that, you know, too fast. But then I'll take it back away, you know, and I'll set it back down, and I'll take this back away. I'll set it back down, and then I would go do another series. I'd ask him, back up, go to the left, go to the right, come forward, sniff it if he's curious, and then we do the other side. So on and off, on and off. Ask him to move, come in, stand ground tied, on and off, on and off. And that may be it. We don't need to put a cinch on the very first time. That doesn't matter. You know, go at the speed of the horse. So I'm not going to rig this all on. I'll just put a real saddle on him. But that's what I would do. You know, and then to do a real saddle, just be sure that, you know, it's a way heavier saddle. Just be sure that he's pretty good with this lightweight little guy. Well, you don't wear yourself out on and off and on and off with a big heavy saddle. So we got a pad, and he's cool with the pad. We'll say that we're at like the 3-week mark now. Realistic expectation. I mean, even if you're at the 3-month mark, who cares? But you go on and off both sides with the saddle. And I'll bring my rigging down. Now, I always like to ground tie my horses when I would rig them. You know, if you got a horse that's wanting to go, you can put that lead rope in your arm just in case they do go. You know, you obviously would have to hold your saddle on if they're trying to get away from you. But you can kind of think, man, I went too fast too soon if they're really wanting to go. It's so much easier when you know they want to stay and they're pretty cool with the saddle. And then you can start, you know, rigging up without them wanting to go. I've seen 100 different ways to do this, guys. And I've done it 100 different ways. I mean, there's times where I'll take a wire and I'll reach under there and grab this cinch with the wire so I don't get kicked, because, you know, we're running real good. He wants to be there, but anytime somebody messes underneath him, he has a tendency to kick out with the back hoof. I actually had a Mustang come to me in training that, man, they're good about everything, but you go to reach under there, he's gonna whack you. So it's like, well, let's get a little arm extension and hook that cinch, bring it over, and rig them up. But then, you know, some of that stuff falls away. So like you'll sit there and put your hook on that cinch, bring the cinch up, let it down, bring it up, let it down, go to the other side, mess with it, come back, mess with it, and then the kicking goes away, or the threat of kicking goes away. It's interesting, but it's one of those things that you can just play through it, create this relationship, and discover the horse. Let them tell you what they need when they need it. You always want to keep your face this way, reach under with your right hand. You wouldn't want to go with your left hand, because, you know, you ever get kicked in the face with the back hoof, it's not going to feel good. But if you got your hind end facing that way, it's a little more forgiving. So yeah, reach under with your right hand, cinch up. So I run a full and collar back cinch on my rigs, and I train every horse from day one to that. You know, you got that little lightweight saddle, but I did have a back cinch and a pull and collar rig set up with that. And it's one of those things, it would be just like that in the beginning days, but as you keep using that, you'll add your back cinch, you'll add your pull and collar to that little lightweight one, because you're gonna just have to start showing them, like, hey, you're gonna feel this on your front, you're gonna feel this under the back. So now we got a saddle on our horse, and I'm trying to kind of think time frames. You know, it's about the 3-week mark, and we got the saddle on. Now we want to move him in a direction, and he's never moved with the saddle yet. So we've already established 5-part series at Liberty. So the day that you got him out of the trailer, you moved him around with your hands in your pocket, and then you started long pulling and touching, or an arm extension, a whip, and started touching him. Got him to draw to you. Then you start touching him on the face. Then you start rubbing that arm extension and getting your body closer, and he's relaxed. And you inch up your arm extension, and you're a little closer, and then finally you get your hands on him, and then you retreat, and you've worked down both sides, and you work down that side, and you play with legs, and you've before you even got to this point, you pretty much can pick up a let's see your hoof. Let's see your hoof. You can pick up a hoof. You can pick up a back hoof. You know, you want to be able to come back here and ask him if he'll pick up his back hoof. You pick up this hoof. Hello. Come on. Let's go. Pick it up. Pick up a hoof. What are you all parked out for? You got to pee again or something? Anyways, pick up all 4 hoofs, and then, you know, it's like, all right, cool. We got a saddle on him. We can pick up all 4 of his hooves. We can play with his tail, his mane, his ears. Doesn't matter. On and off halter. We can lead him around. We can back him up. We can actually get him on the trailer, because at the 3-week mark, that thing's been there. You fed him in there. You water him in there. He's comfortable in there. So you can do little play exercises where you lead him in there. You back him out. You lead him in there. You back him out. So like the 3-week mark, we got a saddle on him. Now we want to move him. Well, you've already established backup. So I always go backwards first. I'll ask him to back up. Start soft, increase the intensity of the question. Good job. So 2 steps, relax. The saddle might have moved a little bit. He might have listened to it like, oh, that's different. Ask him again. And the saddle's snug. It's not tight, because we're not gonna go straight as tight as we can to mount up and ride the very first time ever. I don't even do that today with him. You know, I'll cinch him up, move him around, cinch him up, move him around, cinch him up, we'll go ride. But it's one of those things. How much water did you drink before you came out here? That is one thing about this horse. He will drink probably 4 times what my other horses drink. And obviously he has to pee 4 times more than my other horses pee. Good job, Harley. Okay, so let's move. You ready? Let's move under the saddle. So I like to watch my saddle from the left side and then the right side. So that's the beauty of moving in a direction and then changing direction and moving in another direction. And at this point, at the 3-week mark, and we'll just hypothetically 3 weeks, guys. It could be a month. It could be 4 months. It could be 3 days. It just depends on the horse. But when you're at this point, without a saddle, you've probably got him to trot. You've got him to even canter a little bit. But speed is not your friend in the beginning on most horses. Some of them, man, they go lazy pretty quick, so it's not that big of a deal. But you can always go fast, is what I like to say. And I let people know, it's like you can always go fast. Let's get them to go slow and easy. So you've got your horse saddled. Say it's 3-week mark, 4-week mark, doesn't really matter. And day 1's going about like this. And yeah, good. He already knows how to do 5-part series, so now he's just wearing a saddle doing the same thing. You could continue this for another few days. You could push that hip, create this draw, ground tie, rub him to a stop. You can kind of wiggle on your saddle, mess with the... So he took a deep breath, I'll take a deep breath. And, you know, move around your horse just like you've always done. And check your equipment, check your saddle, make noise on it, bang on it. and you're kind of just letting him know, hey, you're going to hear noises, you're going to see this, and let him get used to it. Now, there are times where I'll hold this rope and I'll come back here, and you know, I've got it to where if he, depending on the horse, if he were a little bit, we'll call it concerned or spooky, some people say, and I've got this, and I can, you know, I've already done exercises where I tip his nose and he follows that rope. And I apologize for skipping ahead on a lot of stuff. Just wanted to make an overview video. But when you get them soft to the ropes and you don't have to yank on their face, when you start messing with this saddle, they may kind of scoot from you, but you can draw the face to you if that happens. And then rub them to a stop, relax. But it's one of those things where, depending on the horse, you get back here and you start banging on stuff, you might want to hold this. If you don't, you know, oh, he's ground tied, he likes to be ground tied, and I start banging on this and he goes, it's still not a big deal because you're in a round pen, and you just go get him, bring him back, do some series if you need to, and start over, and maybe not move too soon, too fast, you know, too fast, too soon, and then, you know, end on a good session. Just take the saddle off. Repeat it again tomorrow. You know, as you progress along, you know, you're going to cinch up incrementally, because you don't want to create a cinchy horse, they call it, where you cinch up too fast too soon. They don't really appreciate that. Plus, you just let the saddle settle naturally where it wants to go when you ask these questions. So say we're at like, say we're at the 5-week mark, 6-week mark. And we've done a lot, man. We've ponied him behind another horse if you have one, or we took him on walks outside the round pen, brought him back in. We took him on walks with his saddle on. You don't even have to ride, you know, he can wear the saddle and you go on a walk. We go in and out of the trailer. We've done a lot of things together, right? He's pretty dang comfortable with me, and he's pretty comfortable with that saddle. Well, now I want to ride him. So I'll make sure that I've got laterals. Yeah, he's good with lateral. I can make sure on this side that he's good with lateral. So we got lateral here. Yeah, good job. And I don't want to put him in a bitless bridle yet. I'm going to utilize this lead rope and halter. So if I take lead rope and halter, and this is going to be first time I get on his back, I'll just go ahead and cinch one more time. You know, he's never had weight on him. I can put some weight on him, see what he does. You know, I'll do a lateral flexion and then put some weight on him. I'll do a lateral flexion and then put some weight on him. And then I go do the other side. And then I'll start, it depends on the horse, man. There's 100 different ways to do it. You know, I'll start kind of dancing beside him. Like, oh, what does he think if I do a little hoppy dance? Does he get a little excited? Have we tested that before? Sometimes I'll test that 2 weeks ago and keep doing that, just so he knows that that's going to be something that happens when we get to this point. But then I'll start banging on these little stirrups, you know, like pick him up and drop him, make sure he's not going to fly away when that happens. Sometimes I'll have horses that, man, you do that, they are going to fly away. So in the 5-part series, I'll tie a rope to this, and I'll have 2 ropes. Man, I did make a video like that a long time ago. And I'll ask him to go, and then I'll just pick that stirrup up as he's out there away from me. So whatever the horse needs, I'm going to help him with. So if I were to come here, and we're at the 5-week mark, and I'm getting ready to do the first ride, and I haven't played with this yet, and I pick it up and drop it, and he just jumps, and don't get up there. You're not ready. There's so much preparation you could do to get ready. So say you get to this point, you have done that, always lateral flexion. You know, keep your rope in your hand. So I'll do a lateral flexion, keep the rope in my hand. I'm going to put a toe in there, and I'm going to jump around and come up and then come right back down. And then he felt the weight. Sometimes I'll ask him, he's already braced for me to do that, but sometimes I'll ask him, you know, with a little pressure up on the horn, to brace yourself because I'm going to come up. And then it's more comfortable for them. And I'm not pulling the saddle when I get up. I'm putting pressure straight down. So if you show them from day one, what it's supposed to feel like. Later I can show him how tourists are going to get on his back. You know, they're going to try to pull the saddle over and, you know, do all this stuff and finally get up there. But it's one of those things where if I can show him from day one what it's supposed to feel like, if I can show him day one what a lateral flexion is supposed to feel like, then we've got a foundation, and I can keep going. I can always make some changes. Depending on the horse, I may have to. So we've gone up and down. We do the other side, lateral flexions, up and down, up and down. That may be it. You may not get on his back today. He may indicate something that's like, he's not quite ready. Why rush it? You've incrementally built up to this point, you know. And I don't want to just keep going through what we've already gone through, but you know, you backed your trailer up, you got him out, you started all this process. Why undo it? Because he's not ready. And that's where we got to slow down, self-study, present to the horse what we expect from the horse. So I'm going to go ahead and do his first ride, mock first ride. And we do a lateral flexion and a toe in the stirrup. You don't bury your foot in there, because if he were to run away, you don't want it to bang on you or, you know, bite you and grab you and then drag you around. So once I'm up here on his back, would I want him to go? Not necessarily. But if he does, it's not that big a deal. I'm not going to panic. Like if he were to just take off walking, I'm going to just ask him into a one rein stop, because I only have one rein with my my lead rope. So let's just say he took off to the left, and you know, not a big deal. Go ahead, Harley. And he just walks out a little bit. Well, I'll just stop him right here. Good job. I actually kind of want him to stay in the camera frame. And he took off walking again. Well, I might let him, and I just lead him with the lead rope in a direction. And then we'll stop right here and relax. And then maybe I get down, maybe I stay on. It depends on the horse. There's 100 ways to do it. So it's not a always do it this way. You've got to feel that individual. So let's just ask him to walk out a little bit. Go ahead, Harley. So I'll do like 5 steps and then a one rein stop. Boom. And then I'll do 5 steps and a one rein stop. If he walked out without me asking, that's fine. I would just kind of roll with it and go with it. And then, not to just burn a bunch of video, after we did to the right, stop right here, good boy. And then I'll do to the left. You know, I'll do the other side. Or sorry, the right. After we do the left, I'll do the right. So we'll ask him to walk out and go to the right. Now, I kind of jumped ahead because he was just kind of doing these little tight spins, and I wanted to show you if they were to walk out, this is what you do. Don't panic. You just have to let them walk out. Because if they're comfortable enough to just walk out, be mindful that they may not understand with all the weight up there what it feels like to walk and balance. You do about 5 strides and then bring them into the center. You know, you want to guide that face and keep that in a circle. Now, say I just did a lateral flexion and he didn't go. Well, I got to turn a toe out and apply a calf muscle on that left side, and then take the calf muscle away, hold the face till the feet stop moving and he gives to it. And then we just do the other side the same way. So it's kind of one of those things that depends on the horse. And then you can also do, you know, up and down exercise. You know, if I want to get off on the right side of the horse, you can get down on the right, up on the left, up on the right, down on the left. So in the mountains of Colorado, I wanted to be able to get on and off both sides of my horse. So I would do that. I would get on and off both sides of the horse in training. It's pretty much day one. You know, and before I ever really got up there and to ride, I would do ups, downs, ups, downs, ups, downs. And then, you know, if he got stiff in the neck, you know, let's just ask him to soften up. Yeah, good job. And then if he was just kind of tense, it's like, okay, we've done enough up and down. We've done enough getting in the saddle. Let's finish this off with 5-part series to relax my horse, because I don't want him to be tense in the mind, tense in the body, and me not trigger a body response of relaxation and take it away. So we'll go ahead and go to the left. Go ahead. And I'm going to get out here where you guys can see. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. And then I'll push that hip, create some draw. I know, I love you too. Take a deep breath. He just got a tension in the mouth release. That's what we want. If he needs a deep breath or yawn, this is where he'll get it, and this is where we do it. And then I'll start taking him apart. You know, let the horse relax. It's kind of one of those things. You're gonna have a template made. You know, day one, you're gonna make a template, and then you're gonna move that template to the next day, and you're gonna tweak it, add to it, then the next day. So your template keeps going. You know, what you did yesterday prepares you for the next day. If it was good, keep it. If it's not, get rid of it. And then you just keep creating this template and adding to it to where you get, 40, 50, 60 days out. You keep repeating some of the very same things you did day one. So that 5-part series at Liberty, when you go in to catch your horse, ask him to halter, you may have to do that. This little horse, sometimes he's like, I don't want to be caught. Well, what do? I got to do what I did when I pulled him out of that trailer day one. I put some pressure where it's needed, and then I'll draw him to me. And then he'll put his head in the halter. And then sometimes it takes 5 minutes, but it's not every time I go to do that. It's just every once in a while he's like, no, I went out in a raincoat the other day. And he was like, nope, you're not catching me. I was like, why? Because I'm wearing a raincoat? But it was ticking on the rain was ticking on it, and the wind was flapping it. And he's like, no, I don't want to be caught with that. He eventually did, but it was because I stayed consistent with the same template that we did very day one. He recognized it. And whenever they understand, oh, I know what you're doing now. He came right to me, I haltered him, and then we went and did whatever it was we had to do. But we're running out of daylight, guys. I wanted to just make this little video for you. There's so much we could add to this, so much I could have probably taken away from it. But I wanted to give you an overview, how to train a wild Mustang horse. It's more about us being conscious of what we're thinking and doing, because we are becoming something. We got to pay attention to what he's thinking and doing, because he's becoming something, and those somethings are character. And as you continue to grow and develop in this relationship, you got to understand it's like that stock market chart. There's tiny little decisions being made each day, each time you're together. Over the course of your relationship, it's going to trend up or down. There's very rarely one single decision defines your whole relationship, unless you're not aware. And a lot of people come to my school and have come to me through the years, and they went too fast too soon, horse bucked them off. And then their whole apple cart got upset. All that tells me is that they just went too fast too soon. They didn't have their own thoughts, emotions, attitude, and action in order. They forced the horse against his will. We don't want to obstruct or irritate the horse. We want to get into flow state with the horse. So if we're thinking and doing things and observing feedback that is not breaking our rules and is in line with our philosophies and our belief system, which belief is he is a living being and has a right to live and be. He has everything I have: thoughts, emotions, attitude, action. If I'm not paying attention to that, because he abides in the laws of nature, if I don't start abiding in those same laws, cause and effect, law of polarity, all the law of compensation, if I don't abide in those, he's going to recognize that very quickly. It's going to be an obstruction to him. It's going to be an irritation. And he's going to resent it or rebel. So if we consciously are developing awareness in this relationship, we are ascending in consciousness. And there's a formula to that. And these guys will help guide you in what the formula is, because sometimes the path isn't real clear until you're on the path. And when you get on the path, it becomes clear. And that's pretty much spirituality. And these guys are great guides in helping us understand our true self. And a lot of people are afraid of their true self. They care what other people think and what society thinks. And, you know, there's a mechanism that's already going, you know, through traditional practices, and they don't want to question it. You know, we do a lot of things different than a lot of trainers and traditional practices, and I'm fine with that. I really don't care what other people do. I care about my horses and the people that we serve. And I will say the therapeutic value in that is off the charts, because these guys, they step up and do things I can't train them to do willingly. There's no practice that would be like, you have to do this, horse. They don't live a lifestyle like that, and that's very valuable. It's therapeutic for them, because each and every session that they get to do, they learn something, they grow, and they want to do it. And I love that for them. So hopefully this kind of helped you understand how to train a once wild Mustang horse, sort of, because there's 100 different ways to do this. And I just chose to do it this way. It's most efficient and effective for me and for my horses. And hopefully you can glean something from this and helps you with your horses. So I'm going to say goodbye. Harley, you say bye. I was trying to park you right there so they could see you. Say bye-bye. We'll see you all next time.